Hello, I'm Nancy Steenson with Steenson College Coaching, and with me today, as always, is Jack Wang. Welcome to this week's College Planning Tip of the Week. So, Jack, as my students are putting together their college lists, they're realizing that some of them may be a little bit out of reach financially, and they have to make some hard decisions about whether it's worth applying and whether they'll need to take out loans. Can you share with me some information about federal student loans?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nancy. Thanks so much for asking it because for the reality, unfortunately, is that loans are a significant part of how families pay for college. So today I want to focus on what can the student do themselves, okay? And what that means is federal direct student loans. So federal direct student loans. So back in the day, to you and I, they were known as the Stafford loans. These are loans directly from the federal government to the student. No cosigner needed. Parents do not need to be involved otherwise. But because the federal government is making a loan to your 17 or 18-year-old son or daughter who doesn't have a full-time work history and doesn't typically have a credit history, the amounts are limited. So let's go over sort of what's possible and what's not, right? So students are able to take out loans directly from the federal government by themselves. Okay, like I mentioned, no cosigner needed. And the pros are it's generally a low interest rate. So for this coming year, academic year 21-22, the rate I think is like 3.4% fixed for the life of the loan. Generally speaking, there's no, or actually the way it works is there are no payments required until the student leave school. Note, I did not say graduate, I said leave school. Okay. The way it works is each year the student takes out a loan. The interest rate is set each year. So after 4 years, each loan each year, or each of the 4 loans could have a slightly different interest rate, but they are fixed for life at whatever rate they were set at. But the amounts, as I mentioned, are limited. So as a freshman, students are limited to borrowing $5,500. Sophomore year, $6,500, and then junior year and senior year together each are $7,500 each year. So if you add up those 4 amounts, it's $27,000 total, with the total program maximum of $31,000. So all those stories you hear about, oh, my kids are graduating with $200,000 of student loan debt, that's not from this program. So the pros, low interest rate, no payments during school, right? Kids can borrow themselves. The cons, the amounts are limited. So for families, they do have to work out if they need to borrow more, they got to figure something else out. Now, I know we'll cover that in future episodes. But for this, I always recommend it. Many parents like this program because, yeah, many parents don't necessarily want to saddle their kid with debt. True. However, many parents do want their kid to have a stake in the game. And this is a very easy way to have the kid have a stake in the game. It's not a lot of money. There are different types of loans, subsidized versus unsubsidized, simply meaning that subsidized loans while your student's in school, interest does not accrue versus unsubsidized interest accrues. But that's really simple. So just to put some numbers around this, if a student borrowed the $27,000, and let's further suppose that they didn't make any payments at all, so interest accrued all 4 years, then typically coming out with a standard 10-year repayment plan, your monthly payment is around 300. It's typically in the low 300 range per month. So it's kind of like a small or medium car loan payment, I suppose, depending on what kind of car you get. But it's around 300, 350 range typically. So not that bad, and certainly not the scary stories you think about. So, but that's how direct loan works. I do often get asked this question, but it is one of the best ways to take advantage and have students have a stake in the game for some really low risk rate, cheap financing from the federal government.
Thanks so much, Jack. That's very interesting, and I really look forward to future conversations with you about some of the other kinds of loans. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you on next week's College Planning Tip of the Week.